So Terry Loftis. Terry is a musician, strategist, minister, activist. He's been active in many community organizations, Legacy Counseling Center, Friends of the Katy Trail, Booker T. Washington High School for the Performing Arts, and he served on boards, ultimately president of our resource center right here in Dallas, where he helped create, can you believe this, GayBingo, the Lone Star Ride, Toast to Life. Terry is a recipient of the Lambda Legal Civil Rights Award for Leadership, and we are kicking off with Terry tonight.
No rush, no fuss, no drama. My parents have 3 children. The first is my sister Kathy. Kathy arrived in August of 1965. Mom and Dad were prepared and excited. The day she was born, was that you, Mom, grunting when I said that? The day she was born, Mom recognized the signs, knew she needed to get to the hospital, and off they went. No rush, no fuss, no drama. My brother Keith arrived in 1971. And again, the folks were prepared. Mom started showing signs, and off they went. No rush, no fuss, no drama. Between my sister and brother was me, the middle child. May 12, 1967, without any subtle signs to Mom, and exhausted of waiting, I launched into the William Tell Overture, sent Mom and Dad into a panic. She was not ready. Nothing was prepared. Dad was speeding down Harry Hines to the hospital. Mom is next to him singing The Age of Aquarius when they got pulled over by a cop for speeding. Dad explains that Mom is going into labor, and they get a police escort to the hospital. In the delivery room, Mom was being prepped, in pain, nervous, trying to figure out what in the hell was in her that was causing so much drama. Doctors and nurses standing around telling her to push and wondering if she was about to give birth to an alien. Finally, I was ready. I switched music from the William Tell Overture to Shostakovich's Festive Overture, and with a great blare of French horns and fanfare, I arrived. No rush, no fuss, no drama, for me anyway. I start this story this way because while there was indeed drama in my arrival, it was the complete opposite of who I am today. My life started in the North Dallas projects at Lemon Avenue and Central Expressway, which is government housing. Many of our relatives were living there at the time before moving on and eventually buying homes of their own. However, as a child, you don't know that some people will look down on you for living in government housing. Later on, when I began school and my personality developed, I realized that I was different from other kids. Not in a weird way, just not quite the same. I took it all in stride because I knew I was smarter than my classmates and most of my teachers. So I could endure anything, so I thought. Things came to a head for me in 5th grade, Easter play, when my teacher, Mrs. Crotterman, informed me that I would be playing the part of Peter Cottontail, hop across the stage in a white bunny outfit and kiss Rhonda Twyman on the cheek. I responded that she was nuts for 3 reasons. 1, there was no such thing as a white bunny with a black face. I don't hop. And there was no way on this or any other life-inhabited planet that I was going to kiss Rhonda Twyman. The day of the play came, and Mom literally pushed me onto the stage as my class sang, "Here Comes Peter Cottontail." By middle school, I was in band playing trumpet and being called a sissy or a fag and being chased by bullies on a weekly basis. I had no idea initially what this meant, but I knew it wasn't good. I was the nerd that didn't talk like the other black kids, didn't act like them, didn't walk like them. I was well liked by my teachers, and many went out of their way to protect me. Years later, I would learn that many of those who did were gay or lesbian, and I would have the opportunity to thank each of them for watching out for me. It was also during this time that my parents divorced, which was extremely traumatic. During this time, I also realized that I was more than just a little different than the other kids. The day I walked into the Arts Magnet High School, I was home. By now, I knew full well that I was gay, and I didn't see anything wrong with that because I'd always been gay. I was in an environment where there were others like me, although during the entire time in high school, I never discussed it, but it was known. By May 1985, I was preparing for graduation and my 18th birthday. My mom's brothers decided to take me out on the town because I was now a man. I had my own car, and I met them at a club right here on Cedar Springs called the Spotlight Topless Bar. I was shocked. Not only am I in a girly bar with my uncles, these weren't girls. These women should have retired years ago. I found the entire experience very funny until a fight broke out, the bar was cleared, and I stood in the parking lot alone. I got in my car, and instead of taking a right, which would have taken me back to the tollway, I took a left and was sitting at the light at Cedar Springs and Throckmorton. Now it's about 11:30 at night at this point. I think it was on a Friday. And I noticed all of these guys walking by arm in arm, walking into this bar called JR's. I was a bit curious, so I started circling the block. Finally, for about the 100th time, I'm sitting on Throckmorton, right about same distance from the side door to the street. And my passenger door opens, this guy jumps in my car, I put the car in park, turned to punch whoever it was, and realized that it was a good friend of mine. I park, he drags me out of the car, and into the bar we go, and that was that. Shortly after that, I decided to come out to my family. Mom would be first, she was my rock. But I was obviously nervous. I saw no reason to prolong the discussion to be out with my friends and in the closet with my family. To me, that was insane and not logical. After all, I was smarter than everybody else. I prepped, rehearsed, went downstairs to tell Mom, walked her into her bedroom, and was quickly ignored and sent away because she was watching Dynasty. Tells you how long ago that was. Back to my room, pacing, nervous, sweating, waiting for her. I heard her coming up the stairs. She walks into my room, lit a cigarette, one of mine, didn't know that she knew that I smoked, sits on my bed. I begin with what I've rehearsed. She listens, doesn't interrupt. I said to her something then that I still hold firm to now, and that is being gay is just an aspect of who I am, but not who I am in totality. I didn't decide to become gay. It was already there. It's in my DNA. There, I was done. No rush, no fuss, no drama. While at the time, Mom wasn't fully able to put her head around it, she told me that she loved me and would never reject me, and to this day, she never has. My sister was annoyed. My brother thought I was going through a phase, and telling my minister father was a uniquely separate experience, but it was done. My family has always been amazing, loving, and supportive, for which I am blessed. It was the 80s. I was out, black, and in the midst of a new disease killing gay men called AIDS. I was dating a friend from high school named Roger, who was white, and I'd always had a crush on him. Roger and I went to a safe sex class at was then the AIDS Resource Center. We were kids, but understood that given AIDS, we should be educated and aware of what was happening around us. In 1986, two important events happened. One, I returned to the Arts Magnet to be Roger's date for the prom, which at the time was unheard of, even in a liberal environment such as the arts. And two, AIDS arrived on my doorstep in a very personal way. One of our friends from school that we went to high school with was dead at 20, and I was devastated. While I knew AIDS was serious and real, no one I knew had ever died. His death would be the first of many to come of those that I knew and loved, and I would spend the next several years visiting them in hospitals and then later speaking at their funerals. In addition to dealing with coming out and the AIDS epidemic, I also had to deal with a little prejudice here in our own community, being black in a largely gay and a largely white community. But I was a prize fighter. I could deal with this, and I wasn't about to put up with anyone's ignorance, and called it out whenever I could. While walking on the sidewalk here on Cedar Springs one evening in 1986, I confronted Frank Cabin and let him know that I didn't appreciate what was going on, and I planned to protest his bars for discrimination. Blacks, Hispanics, and lesbians were subjected to providing 3 forms of picture ID, and women who wore open-toed shoes were not allowed in. I contacted a friend's father who was an attorney and was told that one valid state ID and being of legal age was all that was required. We sent a letter to Kevin, copied the state. I was not the only one gunning for Frank for this policy, and soon it went away. Not long after that, I was invited to and attended what would be Frank's last birthday dinner at the Blue Mill restaurant, where TMC sits today. In 1989, I met my first true love, Michael Cole, a sharp-tongued, cute, funny school teacher, and my best friend to this day. We joined a church that was at the time called Community Church of Religious Science, which is now called the Cathedral of Light, where I was ordained in 2002. My career moved forward, and by 1997, I was in a relationship with Richard Borland. Say hi, Richard. Though our relationship transformed into best friends forever, our lifelong journey together goes on. We still share a home together, and he has put up with me for 17 long years. While Richard and I attended events such as Black Tie and DIFA and became more engaged in the community, I was approached by a good friend from church, Pam Clayton, about joining the board of directors at the Resource Center. While I love supporting organizations that benefited from these fundraisers, including the Resource Center, I really didn't want to become that engaged. After a beating from Pam, I agreed to allow her to submit me for consideration. I joined the board and later became board president, succeeding Bill Brochus. Nothing in my professional career has ever come close to the satisfaction of the work that I've done for the Resource Center, especially meeting and talking to our clients and hearing stories that brought me to tears day in and day out of how we were positively impacting their lives. Employees, volunteers, and a board of directors dedicated to simply helping others because it was the right thing to do. During this time, the center was also in transition. We were dealing with budget shortfalls and a change in leadership. We saw the resignation of two longtime dedicated community leaders, Jamie Shield and Karen Estes. We initiated a national search and hired Paul Scott as our new executive director. We pulled out of the Tanqueray AIDS ride, and along with AIDS Services of Dallas and AIDS Outreach of Tarrant County, launched the Lone Star Ride Fighting AIDS. We created new events such as GayBingo. I hogtied Scott Presley and convinced him to restructure Toast to Life, and we created a new marketing program that significantly increased our donor pledges. The only aspect of my service which made me uncomfortable was being in the public eye, presentations, speeches such as this one and the like. So imagine my shock when on June 26, 2003, the day the Supreme Court ruled on Lawrence v. Texas. I was downtown at my office. While those real community leaders that I looked up to, Steve Atkinson, C.C. Cox, Dennis Coleman, Roger Waddell, and many others, were preparing to speak at a rally at the Resource Center. I was finishing up a few things before I headed over to the center when Paul Scott called and informed me that NBC Nightly News was sending a crew to my office right then to interview me on about the court's ruling. Now, I was thrilled about the court's ruling, but to be on national television talking about sodomy, all I could think about was, oh shit, Mom's going to see this on TV. I did the interview, Mom called, with much fuss, rush, and drama. While I was uncomfortable, I was proud to represent ever so briefly our community and the Resource Center as a gay Texan. Now here we are today, an African American in the Oval Office, marriage equality marching forward at record speed. While I believed these things would be recognized, I didn't think I would be around to see them. The reason we are achieving success is because of years of work, sweat, and dedicated community leaders on all fronts. Because we dared to believe and live with unencumbered hope that while the journey might be tough, we would achieve not special treatment, but equal treatment given to others by birth. As we continue to march forward, the work goes on. While we see strides in the fight against AIDS, it is still with us. There is an entirely new generation that have taken a very dangerous view of AIDS because there is better medication. So they at times take sexual risks that could put them at greater risk. Each of us must continue to be an instrument of education, support, and change, not only in our community, but as society as a whole. We do this without judgment. While we advocate safe sexual behavior, we must teach our younger generation tolerance, compassion, and to become educated and involved. Until our unencumbered faith, hope, and resolve kills AIDS in its tracks, until our unencumbered faith, hope, and resolve establishes us as not special citizens, but simply citizens. We shall do this great work without fear, but with hope and love. I stand here today enjoying opportunities and freedoms that my parents and grandparents, especially my grandparents, were oftentimes denied. Like many civil rights leaders who have paid with their lives for equality and freedom, many in our front have given their lives so that we can simply live. My contribution is nothing of note compared to those who have been on the front lines for many years. However, I am proud of this community and my very small part in its history. We are all spirits having a human experience, and it is in this truth that we are one and there are no labels. We march forward being the mouthpieces of equality, tolerance, hope, and love. We do so at times with rush, fuss, and a little drama. Thank you.